Hi, everybody. This is Mitch Ashley,
And I'm Alan Schimmel.
and you're listening to another episode of
Security Boulevard Chats. Out on the
Yeah,
boulevard, Mitch.
Out on the Boulevard. I love you're out on the Boulevard. I can always hear that song in my head, you know.
Well, it's either that or Hollywood Boulevard. I kind of always liked Hollywood, but this is Security Boulevard. There's no celluloid heroes.
We're not into that flashy business. We're into, core,
except for
doing
Lola.
the good work. Except what?
Except for Lola.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Anyway, hey,
So
Mitch,
this
it's
is-
a good time to be talking security. We just got back from RSA.
It is. I was just going to say we need to dedicate this as a special RSA recovery edition of
Yes.
Security Boulevard.
Actually,
Chats.
speaking of recovery, I went to the recovery breakfast at RSA Thursday.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was good to see Mogul and Rich Mogul, and I saw Adrian Lane there and a bunch of other folks. But really, for me, the highlight of RSA this year, Mitchell, was, we've been doing the security bloggers meetup. You and I have been doing it for how long? 20 years.
20 plus. Yeah.
And of course, this year we changed it to the Security Creators Network, Security Content Creators. So we opened it up, and I'm glad we did. We had 125 people show up, which was more than we've had in many years. And a lot of new people, a lot of fresh faces, a lot of younger people, a lot of women, more diversity. But our core was there too, right? The people who, we came up with, Mitch, who have like senior positions. But not only, they're just leaders in this community. People like Andy Ellis and Rich Mogul and Chris Blask. And I'm just trying to think off the top of my head of the Trey Ford, Arsenic, Robert Hansen, Storms, Andrew Storms is there. Just Ron Werner.
Yes, Werner. Thank you.
Forrester was, just so many old friends that you realize just how special it is to really be part of that community, Mitch. And man, I already wrote to Tonga Room, taking it for next year. I'm pumped.
Oh, yeah.
To do it.
It was an energizing, re-energizing experience, right?
Yeah.
It kind of, I remember you said something about it. It reminds me of why I do this. This is why I love working in security. I love lots of parts of it, but this is the biggest reason.
The people aspect. And that whole week was seeing, Mitch, you and I, we spoke about it in our DevOps chat. There's no lack of conferences you and I are going to around the world, some exotic locales and some mundane. But there is nothing for me like going to RSA and seeing my people. Yeah. It energizes me.
And seeing them come by Broadcast Alley, right? Or coming to DevOps.
I just sit there like I have a window on the world and people are walking by and, it's crazy.
Including the FU guy standing outside shouting into his megaphone that he does every year.
He's part of it.
It's all part of the experience.
What are you going to do? It's all part of the experience, exactly.
You don't know what we're talking about. Come by Moscone West during RSAC. You might get to hear. I'm sure you will, actually.
But we should mention all of the interviews we did do at Broadcast Alley at RSA are now up on techstrong.tv.
They are.
So if anybody would like to, didn't catch them live, they want to see some of the, I don't know how many dozens of people we spoke to, feel free to check it out on techstrong.tv. Really Mitch, I wanted to talk about something else, though.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
I started hearing bits and pieces of this at RSA. There's a signal to noise ratio. You got to kind of work your way through. But, you and I have been going to RSA when there were 1,000 security companies in the world, and everyone said, there's no way we can afford 1,000 security companies. We can't support more than 600. And then it was 2,500 security companies. There's no way we could support 2,500 security companies. We can't support more than 1,000. I think there's like over 7,000 venture-backed security companies at not at RSA, in the world today. Many of them exhibited RSA, and then there are some who don't, like Palo Alto didn't have an official exhibit. but they were all over around RSA with activities and stuff. So there are 7,000 some odd public and venture-backed cybersecurity companies in the world, and more come out every single day, it seems. But I think what we're starting to hear is that CISOs and security champions at the board level, the exec level, the budget level, are starting to get pushback, saying, hey, man, we already bought dozens, if not hundreds, of security products. We have so many security products, half of them aren't even installed. And you know what? We got zero less breaches than we had 5 years ago. We have more.
Yeah. We're even more concerned about attack. We're more concerned about the impact of what happens in a compromise. Stealing data is commonplace, but there's still consequences, when it's PII and things like that. But, also just business continuity. I mean, just the threat of being hacked now can cause you to pay a ransom without even being hacked.
I mean, the real bottom line is they're asking, am I getting my money's worth? And Mitchell, I think back to you and I, it's still secure over 20 years ago now, working on those damn ROI calculators. Remember that?
Yeah. Thanks.
I didn't believe them then. I don't believe them now.
Well, there's damn lies in spreadsheets. So
exactly. But inquiring minds want to know, I'm spending millions of dollars. This isn't a cottage industry anymore. This is major stuff. And am I getting my money's worth? Am I getting protection? Now, look, we're on the inside. We're security folk. You and I both know we're much more sophisticated about security now than we were in 2005 or 2001 or the 1990s, right? But the attack surface, the threats, the level of the adversary, they're through the roof, man. Everything has grown more complex. Everything has grown harder. There's more at stake. There's a bigger pot of gold for those bad guys to go after.
New big questions. How is AI going to change attackers and our capability, right?
It's going to change it all for sure. But am I going to have the budget to buy them and use them? Companies are saying, you know what? Let's slow down. I don't need to buy 5 new things every year. And so what does that mean? Does that mean we still need 7,000 of these venture-backed or public security companies? Does AI security consolidate a lot of the legacy stuff that's out there?
We're seeing that already. That's been happening, but will it continue, right?
What does it mean for the valuations of these high-flying security companies, whether they're public or pre-IPO? I mean, while we were at RSA, rumors were flying about Lacework, a company that at one point had raised $1 billion round. I remember covering it on TechStrong TV, saying $1 billion round. Imagine that. $8.5 billion valuation. And the rumor was that the Wiz, another high flyer Israeli security company, was going to buy them for about $200 million. They have
That's a haircut.
That's beyond a haircut. That's going bald. The story was that Lacework has about $100 million in ARR, and they're selling for 200.
Wow!
2 times revenue, 2 times annual recurring revenue. Something's rotten in Denmark. And then the deal didn't close. Did it close? Not close because Lacework didn't want to sell it. Did the Wiz pull out of it? I don't know, and I can't speculate here, but you can if you want to. But
speculate.
There were rumors, and I'm not even going to give credence to them about some of the reasons why that deal didn't go through. But nevertheless, it shows a tremendous deflation of valuations there. We saw it with another company, No Name Security.
No Name. Yeah. Was
Right?
it
No Name.
4.5 or something, if I remember right?
4.5 what?
Billion? You got
That's not what it sold for. It sold for about 400 million.
400 million. Oh, that's right. Okay. What am I thinking of?
No Name. So No Name was like the darling of the API security space, right?
Yeah.
At one point, let's say just 3 years ago, you had No Name Security. You had Salt. Our friend Michelle McLean was at Salt Security. Our friends at Traceable, who also just announced a small, well, relatively small round at 30 million or something. Traceable, No Name, Salt. There was another big one, and I'm missing it right now. And then some of the big guys were getting into API security. API security was replacing the web application firewall, WAFs, and everything else. No Name was a high flyer. It was a unicorn. I think it was $1.5 billion, maybe more.
It was over. I know it was over $1 billion in like 22, if I remember right.
Yeah, I mean, it was a unicorn. It had to be over $1 billion.
Yeah,
and now it's sold for 400 million. Has religion come to Silicon Valley and the VC world?
I think it's interest rates and financial reckoning. You know,
or was it irrational? You know, to not paraphrase, but to quote, who was it? The Fed chair, irrational exuberance.
Oh, I thought you were getting
Alan Greenspan.
Donald Rumsfeld.
No, that's go to army with the warrior hat. No, it's Alan Greenspan. It's Alan Greenspan. Right? He killed irrational exuberance, killed the dot-com bubble.
Uh-huh.
That was the first time I was an internet millionaire.
Yes. Yeah.
God, poof.
Wallpaper
now they're
somewhere.
doing right. Now they're doing it again to me.
Yeah.
You know, irrational exuberance, and these valuations are coming down. Interestingly, the overall market is still strong. The Nasdaq's doing well.
Yeah.
So public tech companies are doing well, and A round, C round kind of tech companies, you know, real new guys coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're using AI or whatever. They seem to be raising money at decent valuation.
I have a viewpoint. I have a kind of soapbox opinion about something.
Go ahead, climb on board, Mitch.
Climb on. Let me step up on my soapbox. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
You know, I've been looking for. You know, I live in the intersection of security and software. Right, that's been my career.
Yep.
And I can't help it but stay in both. Right, I can't be just a pure security person. I can't think just purely software. And I see the software industry making exactly the same mistake we made in security, which is create these silos of technology, right? I've got my firewalls, I got my intrusion prevention, I got my NAC, I got my, you fill it out, right? Got another pizza box that does that, appliance. And, you know, I think security started to get religion about, you know, you can't just sell one more appliance, one more piece of software to do one more thing. You've got to have more of a comprehensive security strategy, and that's why Splunk getting acquired by Cisco makes a lot of sense, right? And a way of tying together a lot of things they already have. But software is doing the same thing, right? We are moving to more platforms for DevOps and things like that, but we still think about security. DevSecOps is shifting left, or maybe it's shifting right, or maybe it's shifting everywhere. Or what about supply chain security? I mean, when you step back, all these things are tied together. It isn't just software and software security, or infrastructure security, or network and compute storage, data security. It's all of it, right? And so I think the companies that are being undervalued now are such good acquisitions because they fill in spots, they're gaps or holes that companies have. But the question is it in service to something greater, or is it just checking a checkbox, right? Are we still checking the checkbox for, would you like fries with that? Oh, we have baked potatoes. Oh, you don't like that? I can give you chili. You know, you tell me what you want. I've got something on the menu that'll satisfy that. That's not a meal, right? That's a fast food restaurant. So that's my soapbox. Is I was at a analyst briefing that was with one of the very large security companies, and I'd rather not say it because what I'm gonna say here, but They had customers on the line, which is great, talking to people who were implementing the products that they had both acquired and already had. And I asked the question, how is what this vendor's doing helping you with your application and your software supply chain security? And I got a blank for a moment. And I got sort of one guy chimed in and kind of was trying to be helpful and answer it, but it wasn't a great answer. And then we went on to the next question. And in the process of that question, another person came back and said, I'm thinking about your question that you had. Here's what we're doing, right? And it just, what it said to me is, you're selling security for security. You got to think about the software you're running on it. The whole thing is integrated together. The cloud native application is just a distributed app across the network. It just happens to be running on Kubernetes and a bunch of other servers. They're all APIs going across the internet. So anyway, that's my soapbox, is that if we're going to keep selling individual solutions, we're going to keep adding up the tool chest quantity that we've got. And then we're going to say, why do I have 50 when I can need 20, or I'd like to use 20? Why do I have 20 when I'd really like 7? Make my life easier. I'm spending my world trying to manage all this technology.
You look at the cyclical nature of this, though, Mitchell. We saw this. Like you mentioned, at one time we had firewalls and IDSs and load balancers and routers all sitting at the edge there. And we said, oh, no, let's create something called a UTM. Let's just put one border box up there, a super duper one at that, but a big box. And you know what? The whole endpoint thing, the whole host space. Let's just do host space security, server-based, boom, And then, hey, let's make sure our server-based security works with our endpoint security and it works at the perimeter. And we saw, and I'm not picking on them, but you saw the rise of like a Sophos. You saw Symantec before it was split up go down this route.
Yeah.
Cisco, though they never really got into endpoint, Cisco had a soup to nuts security kind of offering. Palo Alto starts out as a next-gen firewall.
Right.
They're all over now. So we have seen this move towards unified platform, if you will, for security, the same way we see it in DevOps, for instance. To me, that's always a pendulum, right? The one throat to choke versus best of breed. I think what really brings it home for you, though, Mitch, and I think, and if I'm wrong, correct me, what complicates it is there are so damn many categories now of silos of different types of security in this case, right? We're talking security. There are so many different kinds of security that the idea of buying a point solution for each one of those is mind-boggling.
Yeah,
and you could understand
a gateway and an application firewall and a web firewall and
all of them, right? How many firewalls do I need? Well, now that I got all those firewalls, I might as well get a firewall policy manager, right? Music to my friend Jody Brazil at Firemont years, right? But you can start to see why people at the exec team and board level are saying, Jesus, another security product? Do I need another security product? This is 147.
I didn't understand what the last 3 did. What's this one?
And we still got breached and had to pay ransom or whatever last year. Screw it. Let's just pay insurance. But now the insurance, even the cyber insurance people have become the enforcers. They won't give you insurance if you don't have this, that, and the other thing, right? They're going to check your underwear. And
PCI compliance days, right?
Yeah.
That's what
and so you're back to that. I don't know what the right answer is, but I just feel like this whole thing has spun up to support more and more companies, more and more different kinds of security, more and more point solutions for more and more money.
Let me ask you, do you think is it the VC investment economy that causes that escalation of the number of solutions because we get 500 startup companies kicked off with VC.
No,
not to
think
make VC the bad guy of everything.
no, they're not the bad guy. I think they're the symptom, but they're not the sickness. The sickness is every year you go to RSA, what do you ask yourself? What's new? What's new?
Yeah.
What's new? It's got to be, I need my new shiny trinket. I need what's new. I need next gen.
The mantra's never less is more.
No, it's never. I need more. I need what's new, because what's new is better. And so knowing that, the VCs are also looking for what's new, right? Imagine going to a VC and say, hey, I'd like to sell you. I think, Mr. VC, you should invest in my company. I have a new DLP, right? I'm going to stop data from being taken out of. But nevertheless, I've seen a lot of companies recently, they don't call it DLP, right? But they're going to protect data and make sure data doesn't leave our confines. Well, it's DLP.
Yeah.
You know,
it
rose by any other name.
Yep, I agree.
And so that, I think that's what's at play there, Mitch. So are we going to sit here next year and say, there are 9,000 security companies, we can't support more than 5?
Yes, we're going to do that.
Tops.
We know the answer to that already.
It doesn't end, but sooner or later the Jenga tower falls in. Yeah.
Here's a wrinkle in this time space fabric. At our DevSecOps Connect event, the DevSecOps and AI that we had at RSAC, we ran a poll during the session, and one of the questions, the last questions, was basically, because of AI, how much are you going to have to rethink your security strategy? Is it a sort of wait and see? Is it an evolve with it? Is it like tie yourself to what the vendors are doing? Or is it, I think it's going to cause us to substantially rethink our security strategy. And I don't know if it's surprising or not, but I would say not the majority, but if you group them together, more people fell into the it's going to have a significant, or we're going to have to substantially rethink our security strategy. This is in the next 18 to 24 months. So it's not very well. I'm not asking you for 5 years from now, what do you think you're going to be working on? Maybe, and I'm not being Pollyannic and, starry-eyed, but maybe AI is the thing that will cause us to rethink it as opposed to just another shiny object. Right now, it's another shiny object. It's another co-pilot. We have AI, ML, GenAI in our product. Can't tell you what it does, but we have it. Maybe that's going to be a big spark. Who knows?
It could be, or it could just open up another endless vista.
At 20,000 companies.
Right. We can't support more than 15.
Oh my God. How could...
Crazy. Just a crazy thing. Anyway, Mitch, we've been on a rant here, but we're probably about out of time for a chat.
It's been good therapy. It's helping our recovery.
You know what? I don't know if you guys out there liked it, but for Mitchell and I, look, this was wonderful.
We're going to listen to it 5 times ourselves just to get the most out of this we can.
It helps.
Well, we do appreciate folks tuning in. It's fun for us to do this. Alan and I used to do this on the road all the time. Whatever city we're in, we record a podcast. And
usually we're a little drunk until you lost the podcast equipment. But
until there was that time that I shall never forget. Thanks to you.
Well, I won't let you.
It's worthy of not forgetting. So we better wrap it up. So
let's wrap it, Mitch.
We thank everybody for joining us. We're going to put a link into one of our surveys that we're doing right now about AI and DevOps into the description. We'd love for you to fill that out if you would help us with our research.
Please do.
That'd be fantastic. So
help
in the meantime, this has been Mitch Ashley
and Alan Schimmel,
and you've been listening to another episode of
A Chat on the Boulevard. Security Boulevard Chats. I messed you up there, Mitch. Hey, take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.
All right, folks. We'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.